Welcome to the Dugout. I'm your host, Joseph Silva. On this week's episode, we do our midseason review. I tell you who the All-Star starters should be. I will give you my awards picks both for the Cy Young and MVPs. And most importantly, I will tell you who is not winning the World Series as I give my playoff predictions for the season. But before we get started, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe to Playbook Sports. With the NFL training camp starting up soon and fantasy football just around the corner, you definitely don't want to miss the advice from the boys at the hot seat. Now, we begin with the All-Star picks and in the National League specifically. At catcher, it was a close one for me. You guys know I'm a big William Contreras guy, and he was the starter up until about a week ago, but it's Will Smith. I was wrong to put him at 5. He has been phenomenal this year. His bat has finally caught up to where Contreras' is, and he's better defensively, especially with that arm and throwing basically anyone out who's running on him. Will Smith, easy choice for National League catcher. Contreras, not that far behind, though. For first base, this one, I had to remove my biases because, spoiler alert, there were a lot of Dodgers on this list, and I don't want to seem like I'm just picking my boys. So I gave it to the leading vote getter in the National League, Bryce Harper. Very close between him and Freeman, though. Freeman has a consistent hit tool. He's doing Freddie Freeman things, and if this is a down year for him, shows you how good he is. But Bryce Harper playing elite defense at first base, walking, hitting for power. He's doing everything Bryce Harper does at a tremendous level, and he's adding elite defense at a position he never really played before 2 years ago. So, Bryce Harper, not an easy pick, but the pick I'm going to make regardless. An easier pick is Ketel Marte as the starting second baseman for the Diamondbacks. He's putting together an all-around solid year. He's proved that the Ketel Marte that broke out in 2019 is the Ketel Marte he truly is. He's not the one that struggled in 21 and 22. This is his true form. He's a great player all around. I don't want to hear anything about Luis Arias. Yes, he leads the National League in hits. He's got a great hit tool. He doesn't do anything else. He doesn't run particularly well. He does not hit for power. I hit for more power than Luis Arias, okay? He's not a great defender. I'm not going to put someone in because he's a hit god when Ketel Marte is the better overall player. I'm sorry. Third base from your National League best Phillies will be Alec Bohm. He finally has broken out, and we've been waiting for it's his year. He's still young. No, he's great. Over 300 average with decent pop in his bat. Good defense at third base. Bohm has been fantastic. But if you're looking for a backup, Ryan McMahon has been really underrated for what he's doing in Colorado. I get it. The Rockies are like the only team not named the Marlins that are out of playoff contention in the National League, so you're not really paying attention to him. But look at McMahon. He's having a very great season in Denver. I get it, Coors. But he's hitting well. His defense has always been great, continues to be great at the hot corner. McMahon is an underrated guy, but it's easily Alec Bohm. For shortstop, look, it's Mookie Betts. It should be Mookie Betts. Unfortunately, he will not start the All-Star game due to the fact that he broke his wrist a few weeks ago. So, in his place, because he would get my vote to start, who should actually end up starting the game is a lot closer of a decision. You know, Trey Turner's having a great season for the Phillies, but it's Elly De La Cruz. He has cooled down a lot. He's not flashing the power speed he was at the beginning of the year, but he still has a tremendous stolen base ability. Watched him steal 5 against my Dodgers on Ohtani bobblehead night. His defense at shortstop is incredible. One of the best shortstops in the league defensively. He's got everything you want. He's a fun player. Let's just give it to him. Let's have some fun. Light up the show. Why not? The outfield was very hard, but the first two were easy picks. Jurickson Profar and Teoscar Hernandez. They're the two best outfielders in the league. Profar has hit that ceiling he's flashed in 2012. He is that top prospect he was promised to be, and is single-handedly carrying a very struggling Padres offense with Tatis not really being the Tatis of 2021, Machado not really doing it. Profar has been their best hitter by a mile and deserves this start. Teoscar Hernandez, man, what can you say about him that hasn't been said? He's clutch. He was the most underrated signing of the offseason because you talk about Imanaga and Ohtani being the guys that have been signed for both the Dodgers and Cubs respectively. But Teo, he's clutch. He has power. He does everything very well for this Dodgers team. And the other outfielder, it was tough, but I ultimately went with Christian Yelich. He's not that 2018-19 Yelly that was hitting everything out of the park, one of the most fun players to watch in the league. But he's bounced back nicely. He's helping this Brewers offense. He's back to that 2016, 2017 Christian Yelich where he doesn't really have a lot of power, but he always makes great contact. He has that very flat swing that creates so much contact in the zone. So you're really looking at a solid player overall, and I'm just happy to see Yelich back. So overall, let's just get him back. He's a fun guy. I miss him. DH, it's easily Shohei Ohtani. He does so many incredible things that it's not really worth getting into here. Far and away, the best DH in the league. Marcell Ozuna is having a great season in Atlanta, but he's not Shohei Ohtani. So your all-star starters for the National League are Will Smith at catcher, Bryce Harper at first, Ketel Marte at second. Alec Bohm will be your third baseman. In Mookie Betts' place will be Ellie De La Cruz. The outfield will consist of Profar, Teoscar Hernandez, and Christian Yelich with Ohtani as the DH. In the American League, we know I like Salvador Perez and he's having a great year, but again, Adley Rutschman is coming up hot. He's the best defensive catcher in baseball, calls great games. His bat is finally catching up to where it was at the rookie year. And for a great Orioles team, easy pick is Rutschman. First baseman is a little more crowded, but I went with another Baltimore Oriole, Ryan Mountcastle. He is another one of those guys you do not think about because Rutschman and Henderson get a lot of the play in that Orioles lineup, but he's also mashing for them. And it was very close between him and Josh Naylor. Naylor just hit his 20th home run, matching a career high, so he's got phenomenal power overall. I just like Mountcastle a little bit better. At second base, it's a little bit of a weaker position. You can say Jose Altuve. I'm not. But I'm looking at Marcus Semien. It's in Texas. You got to have one of the two big Texas guys, and Semien is having a good year offensively. Best defender in baseball per outs above average, a phenomenal 10 at second base this year. But if you're looking for a backup guy, Michael Massey's been very underrated for Kansas City. He's not played as many games as Altuve and Semien, obviously, but he's been productive in those games, and he's one of those bats that's helping carry a very weak Royals lineup overall. So he's a name to look out for, too. Third base is very competitive. Rafael Devers has turned it on since struggling to begin the year, but this answer is Jose Ramirez. He's given up a lot of patience at the plate this year, but in return, he's hitting for a lot more power than he ever has. And it's just fun to watch because you know what you're getting with Jose Ramirez. He's got great contact. He's got good speed. And again, he's sacrificed some of that patience for power, and it's really paying off this year because he is leading a very surprising Guardians team offensively. So let's give him the start. Shortstop was the most agonizing decision of them all because it's just so much fun to watch the two young kids in Baltimore and Kansas City, respectively. I love Bobby Witt Jr. He's got phenomenal hitting tools, makes a lot of contact, good defender at shortstop, a lot of great speed. But it has to be Gunnar Henderson, right? He has a lot of power in that bat. He has great defense. He had high expectations coming into this Baltimore lineup, and he's exceeded it and then some. Why, Jackson Holiday flopping doesn't hit as hard is because Gunnar Henderson is amazing. But you can't go wrong with either of these two guys. Honestly, just make whoever doesn't get it the DH. They're better than any of the DHs in the American League at the moment. The outfield, first two, easiest decisions you have to make as a baseball fan. It's Judge and Soto. They were hyped up as one of the duos going into the year, arguably more hyped up than Betts Ohtani. And they are lived up to those expectations. Aaron Judge demolishing everything in sight. He is back to that MVP 2022 Judge and then some. Juan Soto, he's not taking advantage of that short porch as much as we thought, but he's doing Juan Soto things. He's walking. He's getting on base. He's hitting everything. What can you say? These two are the best duo in the league. And for the last spot, you're looking at Kyle Tucker. I get it. He's been the bright spot on a very disappointing Houston team. But I want to acknowledge someone who's having a great year under the radar. Stephen Kwan has got a WRC plus of nearly 200. He's hitting nearly 400. He has a higher slugging percentage this month than Shohei Ohtani. He's not played a lot of games because of the injury, but I don't care. He's been phenomenal this year. He's producing at a level that no one, even the biggest Quan fans, thought was possible. Let's give him the start. Let's reward this from him. And the DH, very weak position group in my opinion overall. David Fry's having a solid season for the Guardians, but it's Yordan. Best pure hitter in the league overall. Such a sweet swing, such power, such contact. Great hitter. Let's put him in that lineup. And for the American League, your starters this year are Adley Rutschman and Ryan Mountcastle of the Baltimore Orioles. You have Marcus Semien at second, Jose Ramirez at third, Gunnar Henderson at short. Your outfield is Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, and Stephen Kwan with Yordan Alvarez as the DH. Now, halfway through the season, it's very interesting to see how the awards races are shaping up here because you have a lot of surprise contenders for the Cy Youngs and a lot of who you expected to be there for the MVPs. And we start, of course, with the National League Cy Young. In fifth place, I have Chris Sale. He's bounced back and has been his best since 2018. He's got a 10-2 record for Atlanta with a 141 ERA plus 107 strikeouts, a 4.5 walk percentage, a whip under 1 at 86 2/3 innings pitched. You weren't expecting that much out of him. Vaughn Grissom was a disappointing prospect, so we were really confused what Atlanta saw in him. But he really has bounced back. He's striking out guys. He's not walking that many. Keeping the runs down. Fantastic season from him. Let's just see if he could keep it up a little bit. In fourth place, I have a little bit of a surprising one. I have last year's runner-up Logan Webb. He's 6-5 with a 128 ERA plus 83 strikeouts, a 5.2 walk rate, whip of 1.19, but 99.1 innings pitched. He's doing what Logan Webb does. Ground balls, not that many strikeouts, eating innings. And quite frankly, that's something I look for more now in pitchers is how many innings you can get through because I'm traumatized if pitchers getting pulled too early in games. So if you're putting up these kind of numbers with almost 100 innings pitched in 12 starts, I think it's a good season overall. Let's give Logan Webb some love. In third place is Zach Wheeler. He's 8-4 with a 142 ERA plus, 99 strikeouts, 7.9 walk rate, 1.01 whip, pitching 92 innings. Wheeler was my Cy Young pick going into the year for the National League, and he has lived up to that expectation. He is having a great season. He is the ace of the Phillies staff, or should be the ace of the Phillies staff, but we will get to that later. He's doing everything you expect. He's striking out guys. The walk rate's a little high. He's eating a lot of innings, which is great, and a very good run prevention as well. Zach Wheeler, phenomenal. Number 2, pains me to do this, but it's Tyler Glasnow. This is as of Friday. This is not including a start on Saturday, but 7-5, 93 innings pitched, 131 ERA plus, league-leading 125 strikeouts, 6.99 walk rate, and a whip under 1. Glasnow has been phenomenal. We always knew he's been phenomenal. He's got great strikeout stuff. But what surprised me the most is he's pitching deep into games. He currently leads the National League in innings pitched at 100, and he's phenomenal. He has a problem with the long ball. He does get hit hard when he does get hit, but he's not getting hit often. He's getting a lot of swings and misses. Glasnow has lived up to the hype he had when he was a Dodger. But the obvious answer for number 1 and my pick for the first half Cy Young is Ranger Suarez. He's 10-1 with a 2.29 ERA plus. So he's over twice as better at run prevention than a league average pitcher. Phenomenal. 95 strikeouts, 5.4 walk rate, a .89 whip to lead the National League, all while pitching 92 1/3 innings. No one saw this coming from Ranger Suarez. When I talked about Zach Wheeler should be the ace, he really should, but Ranger Suarez is having a phenomenal year. Everything's going right for him. His pitches are beautiful, well located. This might be one of the best pitching seasons we've seen of the decade, quite frankly, because he's got the efficiency. He's eating innings. There's really not a hole you can pick in his game. But he will not be my pick to win the award at the end of the year. I don't think this is sustainable for as great as it is. I'm biased. I'm going to say it's Tyler Glasnow that will win the Cy Young at the end of the year. But your first half Cy Young is Ranger Suarez. In the American League, my number 5 is Cole Reagans. He's 4-5, losing record, but 135 ERA plus, 109 strikeouts, a walk rate of 8%, 1.15 whip, and at 92 innings pitched. He's mainly here because the strikeout rate has been phenomenal. The ERA is good. And, 92 innings pitched, again, that's about the threshold I'm looking for innings. So he's having a solid season overall. I don't like Garrett Crochet. Spoiler alert, he's not on this list. I just like the innings and the ERA a little bit better for Cole Reagans, but they're both great strikeout pitchers. Number 4 is Reagan's rotation partner, Seth Lugo. He's 10-2, the 174 ERA plus 87 strikeouts, 5.7 walk rate, 1.07 whip for pitching 102 innings. He has been, a great ERA guy, really solid run prevention, pitching a lot of innings for this Kansas City staff. The big thing for me, though, is he's not striking guys out. It's not his game anyways, so I shouldn't ding him for it, but I am because the pitching in the American League has just been great this year, as you're going to see with our number 3, Corbin Burns. He's 8-2 with a 175 ERA plus 89 strikeouts, 6.5 walk rate, 1.04 whip, 92 1/3 innings pitched. Why Burns over Lugo? Because Burns, he's not pitching as many innings. His ERA plus is basically the same. A little more strikeouts, a little more walks. I think, he's just been a little unlucky. He is pitching in Camden Yards, so, you got to take that into account. But Burns is really transformed himself from that Cy Young win. He was high efficiency, low volume. Now he's good efficiency, high volume, and that's kind of what you're looking for in a pitcher nowadays. Number 2 in the American League is Tariq Skubal. He's 8-3 with a 166 ERA plus 105 strikeouts, 5% walk rate, whip under 1 in 90 innings. Skubal has been on a phenomenal pace going back to last year. It's Kershaw-esque, and I say that because I forget the stat, but he was in the same company as 2014 Kershaw, MVP winning Kershaw. You cannot pick that many holes in Skubal's game, and quite frankly, he might be the best pitcher in the American League, but he is not my Cy Young for the first half. That is Tanner Houck. He is 7-5 with a 197 ERA plus 94 strikeouts, 4.4 walk rate, whip under 1, and 96 2/3 innings pitched. Again, I value volume a lot, and Houck has not been a guy that was on anyone's radar going into the year, but a 197 ERA plus is a 197 ERA plus 96 innings. You can forgive some of the flaws in his game for what they are. Again, you may say it's a fluke. I think it is too, but he's had a phenomenal first half, and let's see if he could keep it up. But again, he's not the pick. It's going to be my number 2. I think Tariq Skubal takes home the award. He's been doing it for a lot longer than Houck, and he's just been phenomenal. Great stuff. That fastball might be the best in baseball. Let's see. But Skubal is the man I expect to take it home this year. Now, for the NL MVP, they're very top-heavy. So, 4 and 5 were very hard to decide. For the first half MVP, 5, I settled on Elly De La Cruz. The 236 average, 12 home runs, 770 OPS isn't the best. The 114 WRC plus makes you kind of question why he's here. But that 37 stolen bases, the speed, the base running is really where he derives a lot of his value from. On top of that, 6 outs above average at shortstop, the premium defensive position not named catcher. That's where he gets his value from. It's been a very weak NL this year in terms of, position players and who should go here. So I'm going with a man with a very well-rounded game. Needs to make a little more contact, needs to get that power back. But, very good season from De La Cruz. 4th place in my MVP ranking, Ranger Suarez. We talked about him. If you're pitching this well, you should be top 5 in your MVP race. It doesn't happen that often, and that really speaks to what kind of season Suarez is having. It's just a special starter overall this year. Number 3, Bryce Harper. He's hitting 285 this year, 17 home runs, 48 RBIs, 931 OPS, 157 WRC plus. Harper, phenomenal. He was the chosen one. He's supposed to be baseball's LeBron. And like we said, he's walking. He's hitting for power. He's got elite defense at first base. Great season for him. But my favorite, or what's telling is, in 128 games last year, 18 home runs, 3.5 WAR. In a lot less games, 18 home runs, 3.5 WAR. Bryce Harper is that guy. At number 2 is Mookie Betts. He is not going to stay here again due to the injury. This is just for performance on the first half alone. 304 average, 10 home runs, 40 RBIs, 892 OPS, 158 WRC plus. People knock him for his defense at short. I think it's passable. It's not great by any means, but it's passable defense at a premium position. He's really held down the fort there. He's setting the table for this great Dodgers lineup. He's having a phenomenal season. It's sad that it's getting taken away from us because of an injury, but this is not the best Mookie Betts, but again, not the best Mookie Betts is better than all but one player, and that player is Shohei Ohtani. 318 average, 18 home runs, 53 RBIs, 106 OPS. This is as of Friday, so this does not include the 2 home runs he hit over the weekend against the Angels. 182 WRC plus. Again, what if Shohei Ohtani focused on hitting only and wasn't a two-way guy? He's a phenomenal hitter, apparently. You can't put into words what it is to watch Ohtani. You know, being there on Friday, immediately from the cheap seats, I'm like, yep, that's a home run. Phenomenal power, phenomenal contact. He has what he calls the Ichiro swing if he needs to make contact, and then he has the daddy hack if he just wants to send one out of the stadium. So, phenomenal season, and that just goes to show, because he's a DH, and no DH has ever won MVP, but he's not my pick to win it. It's Bryce Harper. Like I said before, you get penalized a lot as a DH because you do not add any defensive value at all. And yes, Harper plays the worst or the least valuable position on the field, first base, but he's got plus defense there. His approach is sustainable. It always works. So I think Ohtani gets penalized too heavily, and the MVP will be Bryce Harper. In the American League, it was a lot harder to put this list together. But for number 5, I settled on Jose Ramirez. His 272 average, 18 home runs, 64 RBIs, 858 OPS, and a 140 WRC plus. Not the best Jose Ramirez season, but again, a great Jose Ramirez season is better than a lot of guys can muster. He has been the heart and soul of the surprising team of the year, so look out for him. The top 4, though, you could put them in any order, 2 through 3, but for or 4 through 2. But for number 4, I went with Juan Soto. 309 average, 18 home runs, 56 RBIs, 109 OPS, and a 186 WRC plus. Phenom. Next, Ted Williams. Whatever you want to say about him is true about Juan Soto. He is doing everything for this Yankees lineup. The eye is phenomenal. The power is phenomenal. Bat-to-ball skills is phenomenal. And it really makes up for the fact that, he's an average defender. He's an average base runner. But average with excellence is an excellent player when that is hitting. Number 3, I settled on Bobby Witt Jr. He's hitting 322, 12 home runs, 921 OPS, 152 WRC plus, 21 stolen bases, and 10 outs above average at shortstop. He is the best defensive shortstop in the game. He's got a lot of speed. He's got a lot of contact. He is single-handedly carrying this Royals offense, and he's maybe the only reason why they're in playoff contention at the moment. I don't care how good your pitching is. If you don't have Bobby Witt Jr. in that lineup, they're nowhere near a division crown, which shows how phenomenal of a player he is. Unfortunately, the top 2 are that much better. Number 2 should not be a surprise. It's Gunnar Henderson. 279 average, 22 home runs, 50 RBIs, 965 OPS, 172 WRC plus, 7 outs above average. Great defender at shortstop with that phenomenal hit tool. He is the heart and soul of that Orioles lineup. He does everything very, very well and exceeded all expectations for him. The best all-around season in baseball. But he's not the MVP. That is Aaron Judge. Now, before I go to the stats, I want to give you one. 210 WRC plus. That was Aaron Judge's weighted runs created plus the year he set the home run record for the American League. So, keep that in mind as I go through these stats. Aaron Judge is hitting 306 with 27 home runs, 67 RBIs, an 1128 OPS, and a WRC plus of 211. He is not on pace to break his home run record, but he's having a better offensive season. Because we talk about, the projection system and how 2022 was, a 99% Aaron Judge season. We don't think it can be better. Oh no, it can be better. And he plays good defense at center field too. Aaron Judge, phenomenal. There is not, like Ohtani, what can you say about him that hasn't already been said? He is going to do it again, and I can't wait to see it. So it was very close between him and Gunnar Henderson, but I went with Gunnar Henderson as my MVP pick. I think he gets that average up a little bit more, and it really comes down to who's going to win that American League East. And not to spoil our next section, but I do believe the Orioles will win the American League East. Now for the playoff picks. The division winners for the National League, in my opinion, will be the Phillies. As a team, they have a 112 OPS plus, 129 ERA plus. They have the best pitching staff in baseball, and they have some underperforming guys in the lineup like JT Realmuto, and they are still the best team in the National League. With all the injuries to Atlanta and the rest of the division being really weak, I do not see how the Phillies lose this division. So Phillies will win the East. And the Central is a lot closer because at the bottom, it's hard to make a mess of those 2 through 4. But number 1 is easy. It's the Brewers. They have not been at the pace they were to start the year, but a 105 team OPS plus, 115 ERA plus. That's kind of what you expect. The offense is being carried by Contreras and Yelich. The pitching staff has been Peralta, and then they're figuring it out from there. They're not the best team in the league, but they are the best team in the Central. And out west, easily the Dodgers. Everyone else is tripping over themselves in that division. Dodgers have so much talent up and down the board. 122 team OPS plus, 117 ERA plus. Great team overall. Hard to see how they don't win the West. The first wild card in the National League will be the Braves. 102 team OPS plus, 113 team ERA plus. Offensively, they're not what they are expected to be. Albies is having a down year. Olsen's having a down year. Riley's having a down year. Harris is having a down year, and he's hurt. Acuna, we know what happened to him. Kelnick has been a nice surprise, but let's see what they can really do at the deadline. Can Alex Anthopoulos rebuild an outfield? What do you do with the pieces? Do you hope they rebound? Pitching staff is great, but again, carried more by Fried and Sale. I'm not a big Reynaldo Lopez guy, but he continues to prove me wrong. Great top 3, solid bullpen. Just not enough to catch up with the Phillies. Now, as mentioned earlier, the Rockies and Marlins are the only teams really out of it. So coming up with wild cards 2 and 3, because everyone else is within a game and a half of each other right now, you're really just throwing darts at the wall. So number 2, I went with the Cardinals. Offensively, have their guys not lived up to the hype? Nowhere close. Where's Jordan Walker? Where's Mason Wynn, These guys have not lived up to the potential they had. They were supposed to be this phenomenal offense. Arenado and Goldschmidt continue their struggles. 93 team OPS plus. The pitching staff has been fine. So why pick this team? Devil Magic. The Cardinal Devil Magic has been dormant for a while. I don't know how it's going to manifest itself, but this offense, they have all the potential in the world. They're going to figure it out at some point. I do not see them being this bad offensively, but you never know. And for the third wild card, I went with the Padres. What they need is pitching, and I think that's going to be less of a buyer's market at this deadline, so they can fix their pitching staff woes. Offensively, Machado, still looking for him to be an league average hitter. Bogarts continues to struggle. It's really Profar, Tatis that are really carrying this offense at the moment. Again, you can get these guys to turn it around, hopefully, but again, just take your pick. Any of these two teams any 2 teams in the National League can make it. I don't know. It's just a hard league to figure out, so really pay attention to them up until the deadline, because it's really going to tell us who's going to be those final 2 wild cards in the National League. In the American League, it's a very tight race in the East, but I'm going with the Orioles. They just have a more complete team. They have more help coming up on the way. Heston Kjerstad just got called up, so let's see how he performs coming back to the show. The pitching staff has vastly improved from last year. Burns leads a fantastic rotation with a great bullpen. I think they just have enough gas to overtake the Yankees and win the division. In the Central, I hope the Royals take it, man. Their offense, again, not league average. It's really Perez, Witt Jr., and you're hoping Pasquantino, Massey, somebody else steps up for them. And they have young players to where they can go get another bat. It's just a highly competitive market to get another bat, unfortunately. Pitching, great. Bullpen, solid. The big 2 in the rotation are carrying this pitching staff. They have a long way to go. They're nearly 10 games behind the Guardians, but I don't see the Guardians sustaining this rate. And out west, It's the division no one wants to win. The defending champions are below 500. The Astros are below 500. So by default, the Mariners will win this division. Offensively, they are struggling once again. The big three in the rotation have not lived up to the hype. The bullpen has really been struggling as well. But they're still doing it. They're having a good year. They're just not having a great year, unfortunately. The first wild card in the American League, it's the Yankees. They're the best team in baseball right now. I don't see them keeping it up because you see Luis Gil starting to regress a little bit. He got blown up in his last start, but Garrett Cole's back, which is only going to help bolster this rotation. Really close between them and Baltimore and the best team in the American League. Can go either way. I'm unfortunately having the Yankees go into the wild card series, where they will face the Cleveland Guardians as they're my second wild card. The team of the year, man. Offensively, Fry, Naylor, Kwan. No one expected these guys to step up. They have, and they surround Jose Ramirez in a very well-rounded, solid lineup. The pitching staff, again, Guardians develop pitching better than anybody in the league, and you see that as they have a 114 team ERA plus. Really well-rounded team. I'm interested to see what they do this year. Third wild card, I go with the Red Sox. You know, Casas may come back at some point this year. Devers is having a great year. Yoshida, you're kind of looking to step up a little bit more. Duran's having a great season. But the pitching staff is where it's at. Crawford, Hoke. No one expected these guys to be who they are right now. And, you know, it shows as they have the second highest team ERA plus in baseball at 123. Great team. I think they do just enough to sneak into the playoffs. Now for the playoff predictions. In the National League for the Wild Card Series, I have the Braves sweeping the Cardinals in a 2-0 win. The Cardinals just don't have it this year, and they're a team that is in that fray that I think will separate themselves. But Atlanta, despite their struggles and their injury woes, clearly the superior team. Easy series for them to win. In the second series, I have the Padres beating the Brewers. You know, Musgrove and Darvish are still hurt. Cease has been disappointing since being acquired, but you know, those big three I think can beat Peralta and Ray and whoever else they're going to throw at you in that series. And offensively, again, the Padres have a lot more bats that can get going than the Brewers. So it's a close one, but I think the Padres will take it. In the American League for the Wild Card Series, I have the Yankees beating the Guardians 2-1. Yankees, best team in baseball, does not discount what the Guardians are doing. So I think it's going to be a very tightly contested series. But Gil, Rodon, and Cole outshine any three the Guardians can throw at them. And the second series, I have the Royals beating the Red Sox. Royals are a very solid team overall. Great pitching. A lot more high-end talent offensively than the Red Sox, and that's kind of what you need sometimes in the playoffs. So the Royals will take that 2-0. In the division series, the Phillies will beat the Braves 3-1. Even if it was at even strength, the Phillies just seem to have Atlanta's number in the postseason. They do what you need to do. They get 6 from their starters. They have a great bullpen. They hit home runs. They are a team built for the playoffs, and they should easily take care of the Braves. In the other division series, I think the Dodgers beat the Brewers 3-1 and finally get over that NLDS curse. It has to be our year, right? It has to be. I cannot stand if this team is going to lose. But they are way better than the Brewers. They have a lot of talent on the roster. Should be an easy win for them overall. In the American League, the first division series will be, if it is who I think it's going to be, one of the greatest series of all time. Orioles, Yankees, 2 evenly matched foes, 2 great offenses, 2 great pitching staffs. I think the Orioles take it in 5 just because Camden Yards was rocking last year in the playoffs, and I think home field advantage will really decide this series. In the other division series, I think the Mariners beat the Royals 3-1. Mariners have a deeper pitching staff. J-Rod is phenomenal offensively. It's a tight series, but I think the Mariners will take it in 4. Now for the NLCS. Phillies beat the Dodgers in 7. They're too good, unfortunately, because you know about Wheeler and Suarez, but you know Christopher Sanchez is sandwiched between those two in the ERA leaderboard. Oh yeah, and by the way, Aaron Nola, he's not having a fantastic season, but he's a good playoff pitcher. Harper, Castellanos, all these guys perform in the playoffs. Dodgers have a lot of great pitching, but if it's going to be Game 7 at the bank, just sign it for the Phillies. In the ALCS, it's going to be a much easier series as the Orioles have beat the Mariners in 6. Orioles, very well-rounded team. They will just run over the Mariners. Even, with Logan Gilbert and Luis Castillo pitching well, I still don't see it being that competitive of a series. Which brings us to what I think could be a very fun World Series and one of the best of all time if this goes to happen. Phillies, Orioles, 2 teams with great pitching staffs. Orioles have the best offense in baseball. Top down, 1 through 9, hardest lineup to get through. But the Phillies, have a lot of pop in that lineup. And as you see in the playoffs, it only takes 1. So who would it be? I think it'd be the Phillies in 7. Bryce Harper, World Series MVP. I think the fact that their rotation is better than Baltimore's is really what decides this, is you have to beat Suarez, Sanchez, and Wheeler. You have to beat one of them twice. And I don't see which one you beat twice because they all have high leverage pitching experience. They've all pitched in the World Series before, and I think that experience will carry over as the Phillies win in 7. Prayers for your local Philadelphian who does not watch baseball because that city will burn to the ground. But who's your World Series champion? Let me know in the comments down below. Who's your MVPs? Who's your All-Stars? Am I too high on the Royals? Let me know. And again, if you're enjoying the content, go ahead and leave a like. And don't forget, on the way out, play ball.